finding inverse value for this substitute by rows and inverse. Add round key is okay. Add round key is as it is. Okay. So the decryption operation is going to be performed here. Separate S box is there. That we call as a inverse S box. Inverse S box computations we need to perform same way. Only the constant value is going to be changed here. So this is okay. What about that? So I want to conclude two things. Till now we studied a block cipher. Symmetric block ciphers we discussed. So the drawbacks in symmetric block cipher is number of users. You have n number of friends. You need to be shared keys. And the second, you may keep secret the shared key, but other party may not keep that secure. Then either your side or that the sender side or receiver side, anyone can reveal the key. Total algorithm is not going to be totally. So how to provide a solution for this one? How to provide a solution for the new concept comes into the picture to be a public key cryptography. This is the 1970s. Okay, they started with this public key cryptography, and we are trying to study this public key cryptography in the coming 2-3 lectures. So whatever the problem, that means both the parties is secure. Then only this algorithm works and gives 100% results to us. Always that is not possible. I will give certain examples to you. Suppose you have a banking that is known to you and bank, but you want to encrypt that particular password also. You want to encrypt that particular password also. What you need to do? You have to be depends on the public key, private key. So to keep the key securely one end to other end, generally we will use public key cryptographies. Public key cryptographies. These public key cryptographies totally depends on number theory concept. Depends on number theory. So what is number theory? Suppose you may observe number theory concept. How many of you understood number theory? Anybody knows something about number theory? Anybody can study something number theory in your discrete mathematics or somewhere? So that is the biggest challenge to me, because it's another big chapter, number theory we want to study. First of all, the total number theory, the number theory invented for public key cryptography. It was there from old, but it invented for this public key cryptography part of it. And this is the heart of the public key cryptography. That's why if you are unable to know the concepts of this public key cryptography, then you may not be understood something. We'll see how number theory is going to be there. So I will ask a question. Number theory, I said we have numbers, but we were not going to use all the numbers. We are going to use a few of the numbers only. That numbers are generally we will use for this cryptography point of view. The numbers are mainly one, that is going to be prime number. So how many of you know about the prime number and prime number uses? What is a prime number? Most of you know the definition, I think. Most of you know the definition. But how many of you are going to be understood the problem? That means advantages with this prime number. Yes, only two factors we have. One and itself. You know that. But we are matured and we are coming to the better. So I can say, suppose you may take any that integer or some numbers. How many factors are there? 4. Why 4 factors are there? This is the general discussion, okay, from my side. Why 4 factors are there? Plus or minus 1 and plus or minus p. That both are going to be, these 4 are going to be factors of a prime number. How many of you agree with me? Can we say like that? Plus or minus 1 and plus or minus p are the factors for a prime number? Please. Anybody has any objection on that? Oh, if you have any objection, write it down, okay, on chat box. Why? Because total the next concept totally depends on the number. No, suppose you may use you may choose integer. Integer has a plus and minus values both. You may not work with the whole number. You may not work with the whole number. Sometimes you have negative numbers also, but you need to be convert that negative numbers into positive numbers with help of additive inverse value. So in the computer science, generally we will use that one only. That's why. It can be 4 factors, and generally we are going to be using integers only. Sometimes what happens in our computations, we will get negative values also. But we are not going to consider negative values. Corresponding positive values only we are considering for computation. So the definition I'm just saying plus 1 and p. Generally we will discuss about this one. But whenever you go for integers, you have positive and negative integers are there. Then the plus 1 minus 1 and plus p minus p are the factors. And my question here, only this is the uniqueness is there with the prime numbers. Any other uniqueness is there? Any special thing is there with the no? Yes, you are going to find a large prime number, which takes a lot of time to find a large prime number. That's okay. Any other unique feature to use in the cryptography? Modular inverse, always with respect to prime. Yes. But before that, one more wonderful point is there. Anybody guess that? One wonderful point is there. The definition itself, Anurag, the definition itself, that meaning you said actually. Apart from this, modular values are repeated with less frequency. That's fine. So one more very interesting part is there here. Interesting point is there. Sum of all prime numbers then, other than 2 is even. Two odd numbers you may multiply definitely. That means that you will. This is also correct. But one more interesting point. I'm looking. Anybody can answer for me. When I multiply together, the result is a number that can be only broken down into those prime numbers. That's correct, my answer. So you have to choose any product of 2 prime numbers will be resultant a unique number. No other prime number product will not be represent that number. This is the uniqueness of this particular prime number. Are you agree with me? Any integer, any value you are able to generate with help of this prime number product. But whatever the prime number product you are going to be used, that represent only one number only. It will the resultant will not. That is the unique series product series we are going to be used to represent a number. That is the beauty of this particular prime number. Example, you might be see example in my whiteboard. I would like to give something to you. Here you may observe, suppose I may write, okay, 15. Suppose I may choose 15. How we can represent this 15? Any what prime product will be represent this 15? Apart from 3 and 5, any other product, prime product will represent 15? No. Only this particular product will be represent. That means this prime series only represent 15. No other prime product series will not represent. Second thing I would like to come. Suppose you may choose any large number. Suppose 100 is there. How we can represent this 100? That is okay. Sorry. Okay, 2 square into 5 square. So this is the only product series represent 100. This is the beauty of, okay, prime numbers. Any large number you may choose, that can be represented with help of, okay, prime number product series. Prime number product series. Right? This is the beauty. That's why you might be observe, you have, okay, suppose, okay, you may observe we have one-time passwords, forget about one-time passwords. Sometimes we have, okay, mobile recharge coupons are there, scratch cards. Earlier we have a scratch cards. That scratch card, whenever you are going to be, okay, that means okay, you want to recharge your, okay, coupon. How many digits are there in that? Generally 16 digits are there. How many of you tried, okay, suppose of 1 bit change you may tried, okay, will you get, okay, again a recharge? Is it possible? That is not possible. Why that is not possible? That numbers are not developed based on the serial number, based on the prime product series. Why? Because, okay, there is no relation between the one prime product series to other prime product series. Right? What is that? Suppose you have, okay, we may choose, okay, 3 numbers. Suppose, okay, 21, 22, and suppose you may choose 23 and 24. These four numbers you may observe. 23 prime product series you may represent what value Bitcoin? 3 into 7. And here 22, okay, what we will get? 2 into 11. And another one is there 23, you have 23 into 1. But, okay, 23 is a prime number. 24, how we can represent this for 24? To the power, okay, write it down, no issue. I want to that only. How we will represent 22? 24. 2 to the power 3 multiply 3. So now you observe for this one, are you able to find any relation? No. And here also for these three you may observe you are able to find a relation among these three. That is the beauty of this particular, okay, prime product series. That's why suppose I'm not going to be generated based on this number, I'm going to be generate my series based on this particular, okay, product only. Suppose you may change, okay, small digit here, it won't be, okay, create any, okay, impact on, okay, to get, okay, next number. Okay, so I'm coming back to that box. So you have any doubts, so please let me know that. Any doubts are there, okay, in this, okay, particular, okay, feature? This is the beauty of the prime number. That's why generally in cryptography, we are supposed to be use this particular numbers only. But where is the challenge in this in this particular concept? This challenge. The challenge is going to be what? You can so many operations based on this. You can perform so many operations, all the operations you can perform. Suppose I want to find GCD two numbers, GCD of any two large numbers are suppose you find, how do you find? Suppose if I want to find, okay, two large prime, two numbers, suppose how would like to find? Suppose I have 300, what is the GCD of 1800, 300? Okay, normal, okay, mostly generally normal procedure, but that normal procedure is not quite further to find one simplified recipe. And this first find okay, time products two and series D2. What is the prime product series of these two? 18 represent in terms of 3 scale. 300 written, right? 2 square into 3 into 5 square. So here, what are the common values are there here? 2 and 3, 2 into 3. These two are the common values. So that okay, you need to write here. What is there? 2 into 3. That means okay, this is the minimum value, minimum okay product. That means here 2 is there, here 2 square is there. The minimum one will need to be choose. And 3 square here is there, here 3 is there. The minimum one we may choose. This is going to be equal to 6, and this is the GCD of these two values. You can solve this one is very easily with the prime product series. Not only that, okay, you may multiply any two numbers. Suppose okay, you may multiply any two numbers. Then, if you want to get to know okay some product, use your prime numbers products and multiply that prime number products. Then you will get okay the resultant answer is very easily. This is the beauty of okay your prime numbers and prime numbers okay. Why they chosen to develop the number theory? So why they choose the prime number to develop a number theory is there are okay, several unique features are there to these prime numbers, and finding a factor. Suppose I may develop a large number, I may use a large number, and finding a factors, the prime product factor is the biggest challenge for the people. Finding a what prime numbers we used to develop that will generate that number, that would be a big challenge for the people actually. That's why okay, the prime number has okay its own advantage. But where the challenge is how to find a prime number. How to find a prime number. For that, we have a few theorems. One of the theorem is going to be Little Fermat's theorem. Little Fermat's theorem. This is the Little Fermat's theorem. Little Fermat's theorem. So first of all, what is Little Fermat's theorem? What Little Fermat's theorem stating? You need to be know. This, okay. What little Fermat's theorem is okay doing? We will study. There is a one formula is there here. We should understand this formula to understand okay little Fermat's theorem. What is that formula? Just you check. Suppose any number you may choose that is a positive integer which is not going to be divisible by okay p, and that is belongs to your ZP. That is belongs to your ZP. Then a to the power p minus 1, which is congruent to 1 of mod, sorry, 1 of mod p, 1 of mod p. This is called a little Fermat's theorem. That means any prime number, every prime number is going to be satisfy this one. Every prime number is going to be satisfy this particular formula. If you want to okay, see, you can see the result. So who is this guy? Ankit. Don't do it, huh? A to the power p minus 1, which is congruent to 1 of mod p. This is the formula. That means here A is belongs to ZP. A is belongs to ZP. What values are there under the ZP? ZP under, we need to be consider the values from 1, 2, and so on up to p minus 1 values. Under this, we will consider ZP is equal to 1, 2, and so on p minus 1 values. A should be belongs to ZP, and GCD of A comma 1, that means A comma P is going to be equal to 1. Then only this formula is going to be execute. If you want to check whether okay, you may check with the small so many examples. Suppose I may choose okay 7. I may choose a 7. So this is my prime number. Then I may choose my A value is going to be suppose okay 3. You may write it down this formula. A to the power p minus 1 means 7 minus 1, which is congruent. That means okay 3 to the power 7 minus 1, which is congruent to 1 of mod p or not, we need to be verify, which is congruent to 1 of mod p or not, we need to be verify. So 3 to the power minus 1 means okay 3 to the power 6, right? So 3 to the power 6 means how we can write this one? First you need to be right okay 3 to the power 3 we can write 3 to the power 3 we can write 3 to the power 3 into 3 to the power 3. Suppose you were right, or you may do like this also. It's a very easiest way. Modular arithmetic. Whenever you are going to do some modular arithmetic, simply you can do 3 mod 7. What is the value? Mod 7 is equal to 3 only. Suppose 3 square, you may choose. Then the value is equal to 2. So if 3 square mod okay 7 is equal to 2, how many times I need to be write this one? So unverified. So you will get okay 1 of mod 1. So we want to prove this particular theorem. Can we able to prove this? Yes, we can able to prove this theorem. How we can able to prove this theorem? Suppose I may choose ZP. How many values are there? I said to you 1, 2, 3, and so on p minus 1 values, and so on p minus 1 values. If suppose I may multiply like this 1 into 2 into 3 into something into p minus 1, something into p minus 1. Okay, this is going to be equal to This is going to be equal to 1 of mod p, 1 of mod p into 2 of mod p, 2 of mod p, and so on, 1 of p minus 1 of mod p. Mod p. Suppose I may multiply like this. Suppose this one I may choose like this. I may write like this: a into 2a into 3a into and so on into p minus 1a. P minus 1 into a. This is also going to be equal to, 1 of mod p. So this is okay, I can write a congruent symbol here, 1 of mod p, then 2 of mod p, and so on. Are you agree with me or not? So this is a common phenomenon. If in that case, suppose we may rewrite this one, how we will rewrite? A, how many times are there? P minus 1 times are there. So a to the power p minus 1 is equal to p minus 1 factorial. And other side also you need to be write it down this one. This is going to be p minus 1 factorial of mod p. Of mod p. So this p minus 1 factorial, this p minus 1 factorial is going to be cancelled. The resultant is going to be a to the power p minus 1, which is congruent to 1 of mod p only. So we will check with one example. Suppose we will check with example, same example we'll check. My ZP is there, suppose. So here, okay, my ZP I am writing as a Z7. Then what values are there here? 1, 2, and so on. 6 values, 6 is there. Suppose I may multiply with, okay, 3, all these numbers. I may multiply with 3. Okay, what value is there? 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, and 18. And 18. Why? Because, okay, my A value I am choosing here as a 3. This is going to be equal to, suppose I may apply my mod operation. Then this is going to be equal to 3 of mod 7, 3 of mod 7, second one 6, 6 of mod 7 multiply 6 of mod 7 and multiply this one 6 of mod 7. After you have 9, 9 means how we will represent 2 of mod 7 and 12, 12 means how we will represent 5 of mod 7. Next 15, 1 of mod 7. So 18, 4 of mod 7. So you try to understand what I mean to say to you. Suppose any number A you may choose, suppose this form, write it down, you may multiply all these numbers, then these corresponding values are going to be congruent to this one. So these two are same. Then I suppose I may write it down here, here 3 is there, 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 here 3 is there. So I may write it down this one, 3 to the power 6, 7 minus 1. This is going to be equal to 7 minus 1. 7 minus 1 means this is going to be equal to 6. Why? Because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 are there. So 3 to the power 6. That's I'm writing in the form of 7 minus 1. Of how many? Okay, suppose okay, you may Okay, that means okay, 3 may multiply with all these numbers. What is there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So this is going to be equal to 6 factorial. This is going to be equal to 6 factorial. This is going to be equal. This is going to be congruent to this side. Also, you have what values you have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. That means okay. Other side also you will get 6 factorial of mod 7. This is okay based on the modular arithmetic only. So these two you may cancel. So what is the resultant value? 3 to the power 6 equal to congruent to? That means okay, I may written in this form 3 to the power 7 minus 1, which is congruent to 1 of mod 7. Hence the theorem is proved. So choose any prime number. It can be okay. Solve that. It can be solved that. Any questions right now you have based on this little format theorem? So if suppose you have any questions, please okay post on the chat box. So I think okay most of you understand okay the concept of okay little format theorem. So other way we can write this little format theorem. So what we written a to the power p minus 1, which is congruent to 1 of mod p. Sometimes some people are going to be write this one in this form a to the power p, which is congruent to a of mod p. A of mod p. Some people are going to be write like that. So are you going to be solve this problem and verify this value? So your a value is equal to 7 and p value is equal to 19. Verify little format theorem working properly or not. Just verify. Then we will start another discussion over here. I will give a negative marks to these people who are doing this kind of nonsense. In that case, so I will fail also if in that case. One time is okay. So now we have to discuss with this Euler-Poisson function. Right. The next one is going to be Euler-Poisson function. What is really Euler-Poisson function is going to be state to us. We will represent a simple way. We can write a small function that is going to be pi of n. So what is the meaning of pi of n means? Suppose I may write pi of 37. So how many relatively prime numbers are to this 37? That number we will represent with help of pi of n. How many relatively prime numbers are there to this 37? What is the meaning of a relatively prime number? Suppose I may choose Z8, Z8. I want to find okay pi of 7, pi of 8. So what values are there at this Z8? Generally, finite field, we will generally consider finite field. In the finite field from 1 to, we will consider 7. How many relative prime numbers are there to the 7? 1, then 3, then 5, then 7. So these are all, we call it as a relatively prime numbers to this 8. Why GCD of these two, that means 8 comma 1 comma 8, 3 comma 8, 5 comma 8 and 7 comma 8 is equal to 1. GCD of okay 5 comma 8 you choose, that is equal to 1. GCD of 3 comma 8 you choose, that is equal to 1, and so on. So that's why what I'm saying, okay, such a kind of numbers you are going to be choose and write it down in the form of this okay pi of n. So pi of n represents how many relatively prime numbers are there to this particular n. Suppose 37 is there. So how many relatively prime numbers are there to this 37? 37 is a prime number. So if 37 is a prime number, how many numbers are there? P minus 1 relatively prime numbers are there. That means this is going to be equal to 36. If suppose I want to know any other number, I may choose okay some 35. And here also pi of 8 is equal to how much? 4. Pi of 8 is right? 4. But okay, these are the numbers we are going to use, but pi of 8 is going to represent 4 only. The same I need to find pi of 35. How am I going to find? This is right in the form of pi of 5 multiply pi of 7. Why? We are representing 35. 35 we were representing 5 into 7. So that okay, 5 corresponding relative prime numbers and 7 corresponding relative prime number. You need to find and multiply those two. This is going to be 4. This is going to be 6. The total is going to be 24. Just to find okay 24 okay we will get or not. Just to check what values are there 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 9, 11, 12, 13, 16, 17, 18, 19, 22, 23, 24, 26, 7 and so on up to 34. So these are all numbers are okay, relatively prime numbers to 35. That number is how many numbers are there like that? 24 numbers are there. So that we can write, okay, suppose you need to write all the series of values, or simple way you can write find the prime product series for that particular number. So that okay, we understood here. If n is going to be prime number, if n is going to be prime number, so pi of p is going to be equal to p minus 1 only. Pi of p is equal to p minus 1 only. So that okay, easily we can okay do this one. Right? How we are going to prove this one in that case? How we are going to be prove this one? The same little format theorem. So just you apply same little format theorem, you are able to do this. So first of all, we need to be understand what is the little Euler-Steiten function. Then only we can go ahead with that, right? So suppose if I may choose this, okay, Euler-Steiten function. So I want to define this Euler-Steiten function here. So what is this Euler-Steiten function? What I can do, I can do like this. So in the Euler-Steiten function, I'm redefining this one. Okay, same little Fermat's theorem. So here I am going to be choose any a. Suppose I may choose a to the power pi of n, which is congruent to 1 of mod n. 1 of mod n. So this is the theorem. Earlier we consider this is p only. Pi of n means okay, p has a p minus 1. But whenever you are going to be use n is going to be a composite number. It's not a prime number. It might be a prime number or it might be a composite number. This theorem is going to be very useful to us to derive some more algorithms here. Some algorithms here. Okay. Are you understand? Any questions on the Euler-Troyton function? You have to use mathematical induction also to prove that one. We have a direct solutions, indirect solutions. Sometimes, okay, some of the solutions we are going to be solved indirectly. Then we were going to be using a mathematical induction function. That's not an issue for that. Right. Any questions? Okay, based on this little Fermat's theorem and Euler's theorem. If you have a questions, please raise your questions. Otherwise, I will take another 10 minutes and I will close this session with a small discussion. So some of the numbers are also going to be satisfy little Fermat's theorem. Some of the numbers are also going to be satisfy little Fermat's theorem. That's why generally we are not supposed to be used to find a prime number this little Fermat's theorem. But okay, base theorem is going to be little Fermat's theorem to find any prime number. So you have to observe what are the relatively prime numbers are there. 1, 8, GCD of 1, 8 equal to 1. So that's 1 is a 1 number. Second number is going to be 3. Why? Because GCD of 3, 8 equal to 1. And the third number is going to be 5. GCD of 5, 8 equal to 1. Fourth number is going to be 7. GCD of 7, 8 equal to 1. So that means okay, GCD of any two numbers are equal to 1, then that numbers we call it as a relatively prime numbers. Any GCD of any two numbers are equal to 1, then those two numbers are relatively prime numbers. Why relatively prime numbers are required for us? Then if those two numbers are relatively prime numbers, then only multiplicative inverse is going to be exist. Otherwise, multiplicative inverse is not going to be exist. So in our cryptography, generally we will use multiplicative inverse only. And one more concept which we need to be discussed over here. Last time in the class before AES, so I talked about the finite field. Whatever I told you here, this is a finite field. This is a finite field. This is a group. This is a ring. This is a finite field. So you need to be work with the finite fields only. We are not working with infinite field. We are working with the finite field only. That's why suppose in this discussion which we said suppose you may choose Z8. How many values are there? 4, 1, 3, 5, 7. Each one has multiplicative inverse value. That's why this is a finite field. But suppose the pi of Z8 is going to be a finite field. If suppose instead of that, suppose you general Z8 you may choose. General Z8, what values are there? 1 to 7 values are there. So this is not a finite field again. This is not a finite field. Why this is not a finite field? You have a 2. GCD of 2, 8 is not equal to 1. Because of that, it is not a finite field. But suppose you may choose this one. This one is going to be a finite field. This one is going to be a finite field. And here the multiplicative inverse value, it's possible. And with help of this, all the values you are able to represent. All the values are able to represent. That means suppose you may choose any computation with help of these three numbers, okay, of mod 8, you can represent it. Right, this is another concept. Okay, so this is very important for us to understand public key cryptography algorithms. And the second concept of which I want to tell you, we will come to here. The Little-Format's theorem fails for some of the numbers. That numbers are composite. That numbers are not prime numbers. So that that time our Little-Format's theorem is not going to be satisfied. So what is that? I want to say, some over here. How many of you know Ramanujan's number? What is the Ramanujan number? Our famous mathematician related to abstract 1729. You use this one. You use this number in this Little-Format's theorem. Our Little-Format's theorem is going to be failed. That means Little-Format's theorem says 1729 is a prime number, but 1729 is not a prime number. It is a composite number. It's a composite number. Clear? Why? Because there are two products are there for this one generally. 12 square and some 1 square something. 12 square and 1 square, or 12 cube 1 cube. I think something one particular value is there. That's why some of the numbers are also going to be, some of the composite numbers are also going to be satisfy this Little-Format's theorem. So that numbers we call it as a canonical numbers. That numbers we call it as a canonical numbers. 12 to the power 3 and plus 1 to the power 3 also. You cannot write plus 1. 12 to the power 3 plus 1 to the power 3. This is the formula generally he will use. And one more series also there. I think 9 power 3 and 8 power 3 something. Or 9 square or 8 square something. One more is also there like that. 10 power 3 plus 9 power 3, correct, something. Okay, these two series is generally only these two are going to be represent this 1729. And what I mean to say to you, what the beauty of the numbers. Why? Because we don't have a time and we have a large syllabus. Due to that, I have not dig into this particular number theory more. The main basic concepts which we required here to study in this particular concepts. One is Euler's theorem. Other one is going to be a Little-Format's theorem. Once we study these two theorems, we will study testing for the primality test. Testing for primality test. Why? Because Little-Format's theorem is failed in the prime numbers. Especially these are related to the canonical number. So we want to develop some algorithms to find the prime number. So one of the famous algorithm is going to be Miller-Robin algorithm. One of the famous algorithm is going to be Miller-Robin algorithm. Okay. So that we will discuss in the next class. That we are going to be discussing in the next class. Tomorrow I don't take class, but the extension of this one I would like to take in the next week after some time. Because these concepts are very interesting concepts. There are one beautiful algorithm is there here. Chinese remainder theorem. Chinese remainder theorem. How many of you know one famous mathematician is there in the world in olden days? His name is Brahmagupta. How many of you know Brahmagupta? Have you are good mathematics crossed? Okay. Yeah, Brahmagupta. One puzzle he provided to, at the time he provided one puzzle. What is that puzzle? Means a old woman carry a basket. Inside the basket some eggs are there. She is carrying a basket, and so that one soldier is going on the way. His horse is going to be step on the horse leg is going to be step on that basket. Some of the eggs are crashed. Some of the eggs are crashed. So that soldier ready to pay to that old woman. But how many eggs are there? She doesn't know. How do you, then what he was given a hint to was, suppose you may two eggs you may brought back, one is the remainder. 3 again, 2 1 is the remainder. 3 1 is the remainder. 1 is the remainder. One egg is remaining inside the basket. I think after 7, I think it's the value is going to be 2. I think. So based on this information, you try to find that particular how many eggs are there in the basket. So no one is not solved. After that, Chinese remainder theorem comes to picture, and Chinese remainder theorem solve that problem to get the value. That we will discuss in our discussion. Like theorems are there in this particular number theory. You have to be missed out in your discrete mathematics. Otherwise, these beautiful theorems you are able to study in the discrete mathematics. Right? We will study that. Little's Format's theorem, and we already studied Little Format's theorem and Euler's theorem. Let's study Miller AKS algorithm. You know, another number of prime multi-test algorithms are there, out of which very famous one is, and one more algorithm is there, that's AKS algorithm. Agarwal and some 3 students of IIT Kanpur, they solved that problem without using, that means without using the prime number. That means a prime multi-test. This is the Format's theorem. Remaining all algorithms are used. The base algorithm is the Little Format's theorem, except that AKS algorithm. AKS algorithm they designed with help of the binomial theorem. So that is more efficient for the short number of prime numbers to identify. But a bigger number is there, that is also failing. Generally, in our browser and everywhere, we need prime numbers. The browser is supposed to be used Miller-Robin algorithm to generate a prime number for your computations. Prime number for your computations. Okay, so that's why we will study this one in more detail, and we will solve some of the problems in the next class. There is a problem here. That's why there is a small actually generally I written here p minus q minus 1, but whenever any p to the power something comes, it fails. You write p minus 2, minus 2 1. That is wrong. So to the power something is there, that fails. So that's why we have a formula. That formula we were going to be discussing in the next class, and how that is going to be useful for us. So whenever you have a square, some small formula is there. I will discuss in the next class, and I will give the proof also. But right now we don't have that much discussions actually. Right? Square only the problem is there. That means to the power something is there. You have to be use a small formula. That means p minus 1 and some n by 2 into p minus 1, p minus 2, something is there. That I will discuss in the next class. Why? Because one day we may give more information to you, you may not catch up all the points. So whenever that comes, I will show you that formula. So I may expect some questions from you. Very tough questions. I will try to answer. Or shall we conclude this session? If you have a questions is okay. Otherwise, say no. Then I have to close this class. And tomorrow we don't have any class. So the remaining 15 minutes I will cover in the next class. Thank you. And I'm not conducting any quiz today, but I will conduct this quiz after the next class. Next class I will conduct 10 plus questions I will give, and you should solve that. Right? Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you one and all.